We're going to call this meeting, the March meeting of the Lenoir County Board of Education, to order. We will recognize Mr. Williams for the invocation.
Let us pray. May the words spoken in this room tonight be beneficial to the students, parents, and administrators in our school system, and may we be led by the guiding principle to always base our decisions on the best interests of our young people. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is the approval of the agenda for this evening.
Move to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Mr. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nobles. Any further discussion concerning the agenda? All in favor, raise your right hand. The agenda for tonight is approved. Next item is the board chair comments. I don't have a lot of comments tonight. I want to remind our board members next Monday, March the 9th at 6 o'clock, I believe, we're having our joint meeting with the county commissioners at the Woodman Center. So we look forward to having everyone there for the joint meeting with the county commissioners. Next item is the superintendent's announcements.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Contentnia Savannah K-8 School has been awarded an Ignite the Power of STEM competitive grant that will fund science equipment for elementary students. The grant program is sponsored by Biogene Foundation and the Triangle Community Foundation. The grant, written by middle school science teacher Becky Hines, provides $4,964 for microscopes and other science lab basics. Congratulations to Contentnia Savannah, and thank you to Becky Hines. The legislative dinner was held on Thursday, February 19, 2014. A copy of that agenda can be found on Board Docs, the main page of LCPS website, and the LCPS blog, which has a link at the end of the website article. If you're so inclined, please look at that. Help us with our legislators. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out what things were most important to the school system, and certainly would appreciate it if when you see our legislators, if you remind them that we have an agenda and that we need their help for the kids in Lenoir County. The School System Improvement Task Force was unable to meet, along with a whole lot of other things, on February 24th because of inclement weather. Subcommittees will continue their work until the full task force meets at its next regularly scheduled time on March 24th, 2015 at 5 p.m. Here in the boardroom. Student makeup days, we've already made one up on February 27th. The next makeup day will be April 1st, which has been changed from an early release to a full day for students, and then on April 2nd, which was a work day. We don't have to make up all of the time now because students are now required to attend school for 1,025 hours. And using these 3 days for makeups will still keep LCPS in compliance with the 1,025-hour requirement. In fact, we're still over the amount of time that we need to, that we're mandated by law to have for students. If we miss any more snow, I'm not going to tell you what will happen because I really don't know. Just pray for no snow. That's all I can do. Okay. Let's see. As the chairman said, a joint meeting for the Lenoir County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Monday, March the 9th at 6 p.m. It is at the Woodman Community Center. And the next Board of Education meeting, in fact, our April meeting, this is going to sound a little strange, our April meeting is on Monday, March 30th at 6 p.m. in the central office boardroom here. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Nzingo. Our next item is public comment, and I understand no one has signed up this evening. So we will move to the presentation portion of our agenda, the ILCPS update. Mr. Williams.
Yes, it's our pleasure this evening to bring before you, as we have for the last few board meetings, some of our teachers and our students. At this time, we will have the ILCPS update. We have our teacher, Christy White from Banks, and Mrs. White has with her student Christian Moore. And from Contentnia Savannah, we have teacher Mrs. Susan McCullum, and she has with her 2 students, Rylan Harrington and Jaden Powell. We will have Banks Elementary first.
Hey there, as Mr. Williams said, my name is Christy White. I teach music at Banks Elementary School, and Christian is in the 5th grade. He's in Miss Willis's 5th grade class. So he actually had music today. They come once a week. That's how often I see them. So he got to test run his lesson today when he came to see me. So we're going to kind of show you what happens when they come into the music room and how we use technology there. We start out with Squilt, which is our super quiet, uninterrupted listening time. And this is actually something that I've been doing in my classroom for about 10 years. But we've added more and more of a technology component as we've gone through the years. Squilt is our opening activity in every music class. So all grade levels do the same activity, kindergarten all the way up through grade 5. And the purpose is to expose them to music from different cultures around the world. And I've cited the essential standard that goes with that for what they should be learning about the music. So what we started doing, since the kids have their own iPads, is to use the QR Reader app to scan a QR code. This takes them to a file on my Google Drive that contains pictures from the country that we're studying. Once they get it all open, that's what they do when they walk into the room. Then they close their iPad covers while I tell them some information about the country, so they'll pay attention to me for a few minutes. And then they open their iPads and they look quietly at the pictures, and I play a recording of music that comes from that country. So this is our map. This is in my room all the time, so these are all the places that we've listened to music from this year. This week it happens to be Senegal. So when they walk in, this is what they see. And they go ahead and scan it. And now I'm going to switch over to Christian so he can show you what they actually do. And he's going to scan it from a piece of paper up here so we can project what he's doing. So put it on airplane. And it should just kick me off when we get on. Oh, hey. Let me get on. Hang on a second here. And then go into the QR reader and scan, just like you would when you walk into the room. Can you tell them what you're doing?
So you have to scan the paper to get into Squilt, and it shows pictures of the country. And then you want to hit the box with the arrow going up, and you want to hit open in Safari so there won't be any ads.
Yeah, well.
And then you have just some pictures from the country. These are a few of them.
So that's what they're looking at. Wow, and that probably takes the first 5 minutes of class, just for them to get some experience with that. And you notice that he's closing his apps as he goes out. We work on that so they'll save battery and all that kind of thing. So sometimes that's all the technology they use when they're in my room. Not all the time, of course, but sometimes. So if that's all they're using, I have some buckets in my room. I don't have a cart because they're bringing their iPads to me from somewhere else. And they just put their iPads, they've got one that matches the different rows that they're in my room, and that's what they do with them when they're not using them. But, like we did today, lots of times they'll also keep them to work further. So what they've been working on is the essential standards about reading rhythms, working with time signatures. And for each time signature that we talk about, there are 4 in the 5th grade. It's a 2-part lesson. So during the first lesson, they really don't use technology. We listen to music in that time signature, we learn to sing it, we move to it, we play instruments, all those experiential things that you want kids to do. And then the second lesson has them using their iPads to compose a rhythm in that time signature. This is how we first started out. This is Jarrell. And they were writing them with their hand. Today we got a little more involved. We're learning how to insert pictures. And so Christian's going to show you how he goes into his e-backpack and uses that to create these rhythms.
So first you go into e-backpack, and then you can go into grade classes and groups. And to get into music, you want to go to my class is Miss Willis, so to go into Miss Willis, and then we went to time signatures and write a rhythm in 6/8, and then you can create a new document since we don't have any. So you want to go to create a document, and then you can name it anything.
We usually change the name so it's easier for us to keep up with what it really is.
Then you want to hit market, and then you have a bunch of different things, like you have your text, you can write anything. You have your markers, you can draw.
Christian, can you show them how you mark the time signature and insert the pictures?
So you want to go to the box with the mountain into it, and hit your photo library, and we went to the music notes document, and you have all your music notes there. Some of those whole note, and you can place it, you can shrink it, and you can download it, you can copy it or delete it.
One thing that we noticed while they were working with time signatures is they were really frustrated with drawing with their finger, that they're fifth graders, but it looked like a first grader had drawn it or whatever. They were really unhappy with that. You can actually use e-backpack. I can load the photos up there. They can pull the photos down onto their iPad and keep them in their camera roll. So those pictures are there, and they stay in that music notes folder, so they can put music in, and when they create something, it looks like something professional that they've created, and they get to keep it there. Is there anything else you want to tell them about it? Show them how to save it. You can submit it to me, and I will not break this one.
The save button on the side, and you hit turn in to an assignment. You can return it in, mark as complete, so she knows you completed it.
And it just tells them that it's turned in. So when I go into my e-backpack, then it shows me that I have like 50 assignments to grade tonight when I get home. But at least the only thing I have to take home is my iPad. And I can grade it all right there, so that's really nice. You can tell them something else. You want to get close to the microphone so they can really hear you? Okay.
So if you want to go back to an assignment that you've already done, all you have to do is go into notifications, and you can scroll and find your assignment. Like if I wanted to go back to that 6/8 rhythm and I wanted to change it, I could go back into it and change whatever I needed to.
Christian, I did not know that. Can you show them the one you made today?
Might should have told
Okay,
that.
that one. And this happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They're telling us what they can do and what they've learned. Yeah, there you go.
Should have kept that one to himself.
So when I go in and I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that he's putting a time signature at the beginning, whether his rhythms are correct, that he used bar lines, all those things that were in that essential standard. I'm looking right there and seeing whether they put that in or not, and whether they're meeting the objective that they're supposed to meet. And then I can put notes on it and send it back to him, and he can see what he's done. Thank you. I love learning something. I did want to show you what we're going to do next. Ms. Hood, our DLS, yeah, okay, I want to make sure I said the right acronym. She couldn't be with us tonight. She's at a class, but I showed her this, and she said, oh, I really want you to show them that, because what I've planned next is based on our trip to Montluc. So, you did great. We're going to be learning pitch notation next, which is how high or low the notes are, what their names are on the music staff. So we're going to do a few introductory lessons and review what they did last year. But then we're going to have a class period where I'm going to try to implement something similar to what I saw at Montluc. They're blended centers that combine information from where we went to Montluc, what I've learned about QR codes, eBackpack, some of the Apple training that I went to. So they're going to have different stations. And this is my planning sheet. This is so that I know where everybody is and what the different stations are. And then the kids are going to get separate sheets for each station to show them what to do. So at station 1, they're going to go into an eBackpack assignment, and these are some of the pages from the worksheet. It's in eBackpack, so they'll be able to do that individually. They'll look at this trifold and fill in this information. If they're at station 2 or station 3, they'll be working on treble clef or bass clef, depending on their station. So they'll scan the QR code that'll take them to a YouTube video that they can watch. And then they scan the second QR code, and it takes them to a website. And you can see some of the website samples down there at the bottom. They can take a quiz on the website, screenshot it, and submit it to me on eBackpack. So then I can look at their quiz scores from that. And then when they go to the 4th station, and I don't have a picture of me because we haven't done it yet, but they're going to work with me. They're not going to use their iPad at all. And it'll be a ratio of 1 to 6. So what it means is that all 24 kids in the room are actively engaged in learning something. But I'm getting to work with just 6, and they're getting my more individualized attention as I'm working with them. So I just thought that you should know that when you send us somewhere, like when we get to go somewhere like Montluc, or when you bring in Apple trainers, we get to use that, and it does get used, and it benefits our students. So thank you.
Christian, how long did it take you to pick up everything that you learned with the computer?
Probably after they taught it to me, probably took me a day to get the hang of it.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Okay. Ms. White, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I'm intrigued by this music stuff.
Yes, sir.
But does it, after they do the rhythms and whatever time, 6, 8, 2, 4, whatever, after they create it, is there a way to listen to the pattern that they do?
Not through eBackpack.
Okay.
There are apps that do that where you put in a rhythm and it'll play it back to you, but they're really specialized. That's all they do.
Okay.
To us, it would be much more meaningful for me to have a kid in my classroom project it, and then as a class, we're going to read it and play it together.
Play it. Okay.
And
Gotcha.
that is something that we do when we have time. We pull up different stuff that kids have worked on and show it or share it and play it together.
That's interesting.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White and Christian. Now we have from Contentnia Savannah, Mrs. Susan McCollum and Rylan Harrington and Jaden Powell.
Hi, as Mr. Reed said, I'm a kindergarten teacher from Contentnia Savannah, and I just wanted to show you what we're doing in kindergarten with these iPads. Thank you for the opportunity to share these different ideas that we've been using, and just really to thank you for the iPads, because we've loved them. So, I guess basically, we're a STEM certified school, so as a STEM certified teacher, I strive for ways to pull in the science, technology, and math into my daily lessons. So I did some research and I found an interesting website that I've recently introduced to my students, and it's called the Hour of Code. And this is a very popular website around the world. It's not just here. So as I'm speaking, Rylan's going to pull up some of the things that he's been doing within this website. But this is a science, like a science technology website that introduces code to the students, but it also helps to show them that anybody can do the basics with technology. So Coding is a 21st century skill, and it nurtures problem solving, logic, and creativity in our students. And by starting early with our students, I'm hoping to build a strong foundation with them. And who knows where our Warren County Public School students are going to go with this. And I'm hoping, I haven't told Ms. Benton this, I'm really kind of piloting this for our school, and I'm hoping to get some other classrooms on board with this, because so far I've been really impressed with it. This website is an introduction to the computer science skills. And we access this, Christy's told you a lot about the QR code, but the students access this by scanning the QR code. They're very proficient with this. We let Rylan go straight into it right now for y'all just to save some time. But as you can see, this really does a lot with problem solving. This particular activity that he's working on, he has to use some problem solving in there and has to decide how many steps he has to go, which direction he has to go within there. It starts them off with puzzles, which you probably saw at the beginning. They just do simple puzzles. It builds into this. This one has multiple steps in it, where it has to tell them which direction to go, but it also has to tell them to do things when they get there. For example, it's going to tell them to get the pollen, and then it has to tell them to make the nectar. So as you can see, there's multiple steps in there that they build. It started simple and it's building to this, and it does get more complex. This goes K-12, so it's just starting very simply with my students right here. So you can see that how many steps he had to go through and process, within himself to get to it. And then it tells him if he did it right. If he gets it wrong, it just tells him he's got it. He has to go back. And Rylan has gotten a few wrong, but he did go back and he fixed it pretty quickly. Okay. Okay, he's got to finish this before we get started. He's really gotten into this, and the other students are excited about doing it. We've kind of focused, we picked tonight, Katie and I did to focus on the QR codes because she said you haven't seen as much with them, but there's a lot of uses that you can do with the QR codes here, so I wanted to share a few others. We have done stuff with eBackpack like Christy showed you, and amazingly, the kids picked it up instantly. I did 2 guided lessons with them on 2 separate days. By the 3rd day, they had it. I was worried, oh gosh, actually you did it for my 3rd time with an observation with my assistant principal. And I was kind of worried, and I thought, well, they might not quite get it. They amazed me. The 3rd time they ever did it, they had it done. And they love sending me, instead of bringing it up for me to check it, they love sending me or submitting their assignment to me, then I can grade it and submit it back to them. But what's neat is they can't always read my comments, but I can put a voice comment on there. And so several times I would say, I really like the way you did this. Do you think next time you could add a little bit of this to it? And they just kept listening to what I said to them over and over again. So they love getting that feedback a little bit different. Okay. We also did a math lesson with the QR codes, and Rylan's going to show you a little bit about that.
Can you tell me
We're going to kind of let him tell you a little bit. Let me hold on for a second, okay? These are just some cards with shapes on them, and they do have a QR code on there, and I placed them in different stations around the room. So you can see we're in kindergarten doing a lot like what even 5th grade music students are doing. And Rylan, can you tell them what you did when you went to the table and you found the card? What did you do first?
I just wrote it.
You wrote it?
It can't have right or wrong.
Okay, so he wrote it, he had to decide what it was. He actually was in a group, and the group decided what it was, and they wrote it on their paper. And then what did you do, Rylan, after you wrote it down? Look at my card. What did you do with it? Can you show them? Why don't you show them what you did with it? Use your iPad and show them what you did with it. usually David.
I ain't even working it right. There it is.
All right, and as you can see up on the screen, it shows the answer. So what they did was they checked their paper. Rylan, what did you do if you got it right? You put a
Check.
and if you got it wrong, you
X.
okay. They just went around to the different stations as a group and went through all the shapes and did, you know, it really fosters independence because they and teamwork because they had to work together, and then they independently checked it and found the right answer if they got it wrong. Okay. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. All right, Jaden. This is another one of my students. This is Jaden Powell. And he wants to tell you a little bit about a literacy assignment we did using the QR codes. Tell them what we did. These were also in different places in the classroom for, you know, on another assignment day. You want to tell them what you did when you found the card?
We scanned it and we listened to the words and then we circled
And you listened to the what?
the sound and then we circled it.
Circled
The pictures.
that had the same.
They had the same letter.
Okay. So this one they had to make sure they had their iPads turned up all the way. And when they got there again, they did this with a team. So they went there, and can you scan it for them?
Look at the grocery store.
Okay. You can't hear it. Okay. We turned it up. Okay, so it made the sound, and it said and then they had to figure out which picture started or which word started with the short E sound. And then what'd you do, Jason?
We circled it.
And they had an answer sheet that they had to circle the right answer on there. Okay. What did you do when you finished all of the cards in the whole paper?
We scanned this QR code.
Okay. There's a QR code at the bottom of their sheet where they had to document their answers. There's another QR code on there. Okay. And then they got an answer sheet, which they were so excited to see. And then they got to check their own paper. So again, they would put a check if they got it right or an X if they got it wrong. But they could, you know, easily see what the answers were. They could, it was, you know, a very independent activity where they could learn immediately and got immediate feedback. Well, that wasn't it. This was it. So they really, you know, learned a lot. They loved the movement. It was very engaging for them. So I could have easily just given them a worksheet and said, hey, circle the beginning sound picture, but this was so much more active and engaging for them, and they got that feedback right away. Okay, one more way that we use the QR codes in the classroom, I'm working on a daily 5 literacy structure to teach reading and writing in the classroom. And so that structure is broken into 5 components, and one of the components is listening to reading. So I'm in the process of trying to integrate these iPads into this daily 5 structure for as much as I can. Okay, let me show them that picture. Okay, so this is a story, and it has a very large QR code, and what they had to do when it was their turn to do listen to reading, they scanned the QR code here, and it pulled up, as you can see, a story. And what's the name of the story?
David goes to school.
All right, David goes to school. So go ahead and click it so they can hear. They would have their headphones on and they're listening, you know, to the story themselves, so it's not disturbing the whole class.
David's teacher always said, "No, David. No yelling, no pushing, no running in the hall. David, you're tardy. Sit down, David. Don't chew gum in class."
Okay, so they could listen to the whole story. If they had time, they could listen to it again, or they could get a different one and listen to a different story. So you know, we've really just had a really good time integrating as many things as we can. The students love them, behavior's better, you know, they're really into what we're doing and focused on the activities. And one of the things that came up with Christy a few minutes ago, she said she didn't know that her student had done something. She's like, well, I didn't even know that. And that happens all the time. And I'm finding myself, there's a couple of times I've been stumped. And I walked over and asked one of the 5-year-olds, hey, do you know how to do this? I'm telling you, I've done that twice. So, and usually they do. And they show me all kinds of different things every day. But I've also noticed it's building teamwork in the classroom. Because if I'm doing, let's say, a reading group at my table, you know, they're getting stuck on stuff out here with the technology. They don't quite know what to do with it. And what I'm noticing is they're going to each other and they're saying, hey, I don't know what to do here. It's not working right. Can you show me what to do? Or the other thing is they are sharing. So they find a really good website or they found something that worked. And they're sharing with each other how to do this. So yes, they're talking in the classroom, but it's productive talk that's, you know, working out good things. So I just wanted to really thank y'all. I'm looking forward to all the other things that we're going to learn about this because I think we've just touched the tip of the barrel. So I really think we're going to come up with all kinds of different ways that we can use this initiative, and I want to thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Ms. Davis and the financial report.
You got an iPad with some, make it interesting.
We need fancy presentation.
They help give her an iPad, yes.
One of the kindergarten students can help you.
Is that better? Okay. Good evening. Yeah, I think Dr. Mazingo does this on purpose. Okay, the financial report reflects the year-to-date activity by providing revenue and expenditure information as to all the sources of funds received and expended by fund and purpose as of February 28, 2015. May I answer any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Davis this evening on the financial report? All right. All right, thank you, Ms. Davis. Next item is Dr. Mazingo for the South Lenoir High School naming request.
You've received the materials on the request from South Lenoir High School to name 3 of its areas after some longtime employees that contributed much to the South Lenoir High School experience. The request is to name the football field in honor of Tom Salter, longtime principal at South Lenoir, the track in honor of Linwood Hartzell, and the athletic complex in honor of Bobby Davis. When Mr. St. Amand discussed this with me, I suggested that he put together a fairly large group of citizens from the area and that they discussed how they wanted to go about this and present to you the requests that you see along with those that were on that committee and had some say in requesting this. Your policy requires that you have 2 readings of a request to name parts of facilities or facilities. So this is the first time that you have seen this. It also asks that you solicit public comments if people would like to make comments on the request to name facilities after folks such as the ones that you just heard. So tonight, it's my suggestion that you ask people if they have comments to contact me or to somehow get that comment to you. Certainly we'd be happy to pass those along if people want to contact my office and make whatever comment or suggestion they have concerning this particular activity. For me, as far as I'm concerned in recommending it to you, I think this is a great idea if the community thinks this is a great idea. I think that when you name facilities after an individual, it should be someone that the community thinks made a significant contribution to the school and to the community and to the students that went to that school during the time they were there. The committee, at least, that is recommending this feels that these folks meet that criteria, and they're commending them to you for consideration. Again, this is only the first reading for this.
And we do have the names of the committee members here in the materials, so if anybody's interested in looking at who was on that committee. it's all
That wasn't in the
certainly
email,
available.
though, was it?
You're right.
That wasn't in the email, was it?
Yes, it was.
Those names were in it?
Yeah, I think there were maybe two, or I think we put it all together, I believe, when we sent it to you guys. It was all in one document, I think.
There we go. Any questions for Dr. Mozingo on the South Lenore High School naming request? I think it will be read again once more before we vote?
No, it requires two readings. Well, yeah, the next time it can be for action.
Okay.
So, you will see it on March 30th, and then, is depending on comments or questions that we've received, you will likely get a recommendation for approval at that time if it's all going well at that time.
And if anyone from the public wants to come address the board, they can certainly do that on March the
Absolutely.
30th.
So, or like I said, they feel free to contact our office in whatever manner they'd like, and we'll accept them that way too.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mozingo. Next item, moving to the action portion of our agenda, is the driver's education resolution.
This is, I think, probably the third time that we've talked about driver's education. We certainly, I presented a report to you concerning this funding was not in the continuation budget, and it became part of our legislative agenda. I think there is some sympathy in Raleigh to try to fix this problem, but I think it also speaks volumes if you put this in the form of a resolution and we send this to our legislators and to other people who certainly need to take a look at this. I recommend this for approval and would certainly be happy to answer any questions you have about this. It's one more step we can take to try to encourage our legislators to once again put this funding in the continuation budget.
Move to adopt the resolution concerning driver education fund.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Smith, I believe second by Mr. Anderson.
I just got one question on that, on the, have we did everything we could to make sure that the public, because I think if the more people we have involved in knowing what's going on and what this bill, if they pass it, is going to mean to the public, I don't think we've heard enough uproar from our public as to really the effect that this is going to have on the new kids that are coming through school. And that's why I was wondering, is there anything else that we could do to make sure that the public knows about?
I'm sure there is. We've had at least one TV story on this and a couple things in the newspaper. I think the way it normally works is the public becomes aware of it when they get the bill for it.
Yeah.
But we can certainly switch on.
What about in terms of the kids who it's going to impact?
I'm sorry, what?
The kids who it's going to impact next year? A letter to their parents?
Letting them know. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that, but we certainly could let the parents of the students who are coming up for driver's ed know that this is a problem. That's a lot more immediate problem for them. Great idea, Mr. Anderson. Thank you.
Well, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor of approving the resolution, raise your right hand. It's approved unanimously.
But the best way to get results is for everyone to contact their legislators, because they're the ones that are going to have to make decisions. So if everyone, just contacting us or just voicing your opinion, really, but you got to direct it to the right people. You need to voice it to the representatives that represent us in the legislature.
We'll make sure we get the contact information to the parents also.
Right. Yeah, so that they can contact their congressman along with us.
The next item is the new policies. I think we've got 2 new policies to consider tonight.
That's correct. This is the second reading for those policies. The first one is injury and loss prevention policy, and the second policy is emergency epinephrine auto-injector devices policy. Both of these are required by law. These policies, as we discussed in the first reading, are in compliance with those, and we will also become compliant with these policies. Once you pass those, we will put the things in effect that we need to make sure that we are compliant with the law, and now your board policy.
Move to adopt.
Motion made by Mr. Anderson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any further discussions about the 2 new policies at this point? Having no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of approval of the 2 new policies, raise your right hand. They're approved unanimously. Next item is a plethora of revised policies for Dr. Mozingo to review with the board.
I think that's actually 36. I thought we'd go through them all in detail. This is the second reading for these policies also, and these are revised based on legislative action, state board action, various things that required these policies to be tweaked. And you also realize that sometimes one policy refers to another, so it may be simply a change in the referral content of the policy. But all these are reacting to that and brings our policies manual up to date. I love the policy service. I still remember the old days when policy manuals got quite out of date. So this is a great thing for us to have. So we are always in compliance and our policies are up to date. Certainly recommend these for your approval.
I did have a question for Ms. Waller. I'm glad you mentioned that Dr. Mozingo about one referring to the other, because I was a little confused on one of them. The one that's the 5120 and the 9220s, to me, seem to contradict. So that might be what you were saying. They kind of
refer
not,
to one
one 5120 said not to provide schematics to emergency management, and then when you got to 9220, it said that we do provide the schematics to emergency management. So
I see 9220. Are you speaking of paragraph 3 in 9220?
I believe so. Let me go back to it.
Where the division and local law enforcement, they'll be provided with the schematic diagrams, including digital schematic diagrams.
Right, and then there was a part about emergency management.
The emergency management agencies have been eliminated.
Has been struck. That was in 5120, right?
That's also in 9220. So it still needs to be provided to local law enforcement, but it does not. They are not required to be provided to emergency management agencies.
Give me 1 second. Let me find that piece.
Are you looking at? And the other one is 51.
9220. 5120.
One was 5120.
I just had it.
Yeah, so that's consistent. So that the second paragraph in 5120 indicates that the superintendent shall ensure local law enforcement have schematic diagrams, including digital schematic diagrams, and they both eliminated the language for the emergency management agencies because that's no longer a requirement of the law.
Okay.
So I think they're consistent with one another. I say that, and these are done by the School Boards Association, so I haven't reviewed these separately, but they do a pretty good job of making sure they're consistent for you.
Okay. And I had one more question on the 7950 contract renewal and the 7425 contract renewal for administrators. So they're putting the language in. We have to put the language in the policies, although they're still in. Isn't that still in litigation about contracts?
Career status.
Career status contracts.
Well,
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. I mean, there is still some uncertainty with that, but there is some statutory guidelines that are out there that, that is what we're following this year right now.
Right.
So there is a statute out there that's being followed, and that's guiding us in terms of how we're managing contracts for administrators and teachers, whether or not that's going to be, how long that's going to be in place and whether that challenge is going to be successful is for another day.
So in other words, if it gets reversed and it don't have to, then we just go back and strike that language again.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And then there would have to be some new system, because this is the only one we've got right now, because they repealed all the old stuff. So it's still up in the air.
Okay. Any other questions?
Should we take these one at a time? No, just kidding.
I just did a few of them for you.
The revised policy.
We approve the revised policy as stated.
Motion made by Mr. Nobles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any further discussion regarding the 36 revised policies? With no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. The revised policies are approved. I thank our board members for taking the time. That's one of those things that a lot of hours go into that outside of the meeting to make those kind of things happen. The next item is our out-of-state school trips. Mr. Williams.
In your packet, you have 2 out-of-state field trip requests, both from South Lenoir High School. First, South Lenoir is requesting to travel to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to participate in a softball tournament on April 5th through the 8th, 2015. And second, South Lenoir High School's band program is seeking approval to travel to Kings Dominion in Virginia on April the 11th, 2015.
Motion to approve the out-of-state school trips as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. King. Further discussion on the out-of-state trips? All in favor, raise your right hand. The trips are approved. Next item would be a motion to go into closed session.
I move that the Lenoir County Board of Education go into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files, to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and to consider matters relating to initial employment of an individual employee.
Motion made by Mr. Hill. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nobles. All in favor of going into closed session, raise your right hand. We are now in closed session. Right. We are now back in open session. The next item is the personnel report with the addendum.
Move to approve the personnel report with the addendum.
Motion made by Mr. Anderson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, that time by Mr. Hill. All in favor of approving the personnel report with the addendum, raise your right hand. Personnel report with the addendum is approved.
Move to adjourn.
I'd like to introduce our new
Hold that motion.
Amy, if you'll stand up, please. Ms. Amy Jones is the new principal for Continue Savannah. Congratulations.
Now.
Can you say it?
Second by Mr. Nobles.
If you say so.
That's good enough.
All in favor, raise your right hand. We are now adjourned. Thank everyone for coming.